Well, thank you guys. Thank you very much for having me here today. When I was coming here, I didn't realise I'd actually know so many faces. And looking at the list, it was pretty nice to see not only the Grinders team, and again, some of the familiar faces through there, but also some of the customers that I've seen in different parts of the world, but also different parts of Australia through here. So my name, for those that don't know me, I'm Shae Macnamara. I am currently the CEO and founder of Expat Roasters, but also the former brand ambassador for Grinders Coffee. Today, I think I feel pretty blessed to be up here speaking with you guys, because speaking with Jono and having an understanding about what this event was, what it's for, and he was saying to me that this is really for people who are brand partners or brand ambassadors for the company. So this is something that's more than just volume or numbers coming through businesses, but for partners and people that are representing the brand and working together, not just as a transaction, but more as a partnership in the future. So I feel lucky that I've been invited, and I feel also, really nice to be here watching what's happening through the Grinders, through the history and the time that we've had. So, but I started off as a 15 or 16-year-old boy in Sydney. I was a failed musician. I was playing in bands at the time, and I used to go and sit in cafes every day. And I think that, sitting in those cafes, I never liked the taste of coffee. I used to drink hot chocolates. Eventually I started drinking hot chocolates with a little dash of espresso in it, working my way up to try and figure out how I could like the taste of coffee, because I love sitting in the cafes so much. I love the theatre, I love the smell, I love the feeling, and even more, I love the performance from the barista. And I think this is what made me so passionate to start off with. To see, I still remember the cafe queue and the barista standing there, and how she knew everyone coming through the door. She knew everyone's coffee orders, she knew something about them. And this really attracted me to this business. So even after I left school, I started working for my dad's business, and one day he talked to me about the cafe downstairs, and I knew more about the numbers of the cafe downstairs than I did about his business. I knew the transactions that were happening, I knew people that were coming through, I knew people who had accounts, people who were coming through, loyal customers with loyalty cards, and I'd worked all this out before I even knew more, I didn't know anywhere near as much about his business. So I went back into coffee. I'd already done a couple of barista courses, done a few things, but I went through from there and worked for a company called Spotless Catering. Spotless Catering was a great induction for me into the coffee industry. So working with Spotless Catering, I really got to understand. I ended up doing a role for them that I was a roving barista. I set up all the new cafes, I fixed up the old cafes, and this is actually where I first met some of the Grinders reps. We had Spotless Cafe in Circular Quay, Sydney, where there was the Coke head office, and I was in there quite often, working on the coffee in there. And it was my first taste of Grinders coffee, because they were using Grinders, which was different to the rest of the sites that were at the time for Spotless. But it was good to understand from that perspective, understanding people and different consumer behaviours right across the country, whether it was in Armidale University or a Coke head office in Circular Quay, Sydney, and to understand what were the similarities around coffee, but also what were the nuances and things that were different that you had to tailor towards your local market or local demographics, even within a place like New South Wales or Australia. So I went on from there, and I did a couple of things. I set up a cafe in Venice for a while. I came back, I worked for a Melbourne coffee roaster, but I ran the New South Wales training and sales for those guys. And in that time, I got calls for maybe about 6 months from the guys at Grinders saying, "Shae, come in and have a chat. Just come in and have a chat. We just want to talk to you about a few things. Shae, we'd love you to come across, just have a chat." So finally I went in and talked to the guys at Grinders. And I sat down with the general manager at the time and a couple other people, and they talked to me about what I wanted to achieve within my career and what I was doing. And a couple of the things didn't align with what I saw at the time from Grinders. I looked at it and I said to them, some of the culture things that were happening that I didn't agree with. I wasn't the same as my values. Some of the different sourcing and what they were doing with coffee, I didn't see that The industry involvement wasn't really there too much. So at the end of the conversation, the general manager looked at me and he said, if you want to make a difference, a small difference, you can keep playing small. But if you want to be big and good and make difference on a larger scale, why don't you come across the grinders and we can do things that are not only good and ethical and big, but also big as well. So I think this is one of the things. So when maybe I'll just, next slide, I think we've got a couple of things. So in my time at Grinders, I really wanted to have a focus on this culture change, understanding how to get a company that was already big and established and already was around for a long time, had some amazing things, but how do I bring that into the industry and let the industry know what was happening? So we focused on things like competition, things like golden bean competitions, started doing those. We worked on industry events. So we ended up setting up in New South Wales, the garage downstairs. We opened up for the industry, where we had the World Barista Champion Hidenori come through. We had Sasha Stesti come and do talks. It was just in line, maybe just before or after he won the World Barista Championships. We had a lot of great people come through, but also had it there for local latte art smackdowns, different competitions, different things we could do, industry talks, training ourselves. But we also put in there, from the Coke guys, we put in a bar in there, so we could hold these events and have some great events. But also there was alcohol involved in some of them as well, which was a fun tie-in with the guys. So you see this up here. This is also what we're using. So this is before a competition. Up here, Jono threw a photo in there as well, where we were working on before the competition where I was competing. But down in the corner, I think this is one of the first real competitions that Grinders went, and we said we could compete against anyone really. So I went up to, I think it was in Queensland, there was the world's richest barista competition on, and I went up with Michaela, and we took a couple of customers, one from Melbourne, one from Sydney. We worked with someone else from Queensland, and we went in this competition where it was a team competition, and they had teams from all around Asia, but all around the world, come in, the best baristas in the world with it, the rock stars of the industry. And from Singapore, some of these guys that you looked at and idolised, from Melbourne, all these guys that were superstars. And we got up there and we made it to the quarterfinals, but only lost by like 1 point in that time. And we walked away afterwards going, not only so take away coffee, but the people within the company and our customers and who we were, we can compete against the best in Australia and the best in the world. This is fact now. And it started to give this new lease of life on what was happening around Grinders. And the culture was really starting to develop and change. But I always had this focus, and I think here we've got in this team, in this room right now, people who are expanding businesses or have bigger businesses that still want to focus on being good, still want to focus on being not just a regular business, but also how do you take what was a small business maybe and create a big business, but keeping standards and this quality of a smaller business. And this was the thing that we're focusing on so hard. So I then ended up saying, how do we show it on a world stage? So when we had the opportunity to do the Coffee and Good Spirits, so it was a 2016 competition, Coffee and Good Spirits, I talked to some of the Coke reps as well, and I said, how do we compete in this competition and dominate? So the Australian competition came on. I won the Australian competition for Coffee and Good Spirits, and went across to Shanghai with the support of Grinders and the Coke teams. I went in there with all Grinders products, all Coke products that I could use. That was, everything that was not sponsored for the competition, a sponsored product. Everything I also used was in-house, because I really wanted to prove that we could do it. We could compete, that the quality of what we're doing, the standards of what we're doing at Grinders is as good as anywhere in the world, right? So anyway, we went there, and in the top corner, up the top there, you see this is the top 6. So I made it through to the top 6 in the world, and that is maybe one of the most, in the beverage scene, they're probably some of the best beverage professionals that you'll meet. That top 6, we got like guys who have won the best bar in the world, the best barman in the world, barista champions, Chinese barista champions over and over again, coffee and good spirits champions, some of the best consultants, bar and barista roasting consultants, legends of the industry really, and really awarded people in that top 6. I end up coming 4th in that competition, and many people have said, no one's ever seen anyone so happy to be 4th in the world, 4th in anything, come 4th. And but I used to, I still to today say to people, how many people do you know that have been 4th in the world in anything? Myself, but also it was, to me, I was just saying, this is proving you can be big and still be bloody good. Like the breakdown that people have sometimes is they think as soon as you start expanding, you're going to lose quality, or as soon as you start getting big. But that's not true. When you start to see these things, where I can take, like, a company like Grinders and Coca-Cola, and put it on the world stage and say we can compete against anyone in the world and do amazing. It just showed that if you focus on the quality, the people are right, the culture's good. I had the support, the backing from everyone in the team. There was people all around the country supporting me for this competition, and so you can go and do amazing things.